waiting for this a long time, and it's a big honor to say welcome to everybody. On behalf of Arctic Frontiers and Emerging Leaders, welcome to Bodø.
I'm a bit excited about this trip, and the reason is because I've never been so far north in Norway ever, even though I'm born and raised here, and I'm looking forward to maybe finally see the Northern Lights, because every time I travel abroad people ask me about the Northern Lights in Norway, and I feel a bit embarrassed about not having seen them around. So yeah.
The Arctic matters for me because I think we're all so interconnected, and everything that happens in the Arctic impacts the South, and everything that happens in the South impacts the Arctic. I think the Arctic is a beautiful space filled with rich culture, and I've been able to work in the Arctic for the last 6 years, and I've learned so much. I love the lifestyle, I love the people, I love the nature, and I'm happy to continue to work on that, work in this space.
So far, meeting everyone is amazing. The group brings very diverse knowledge and experiences, and yeah, everyone comes from different parts of the world, and I think we will have a good time.
So I was a participant at the Emerging Leaders actually in 2018, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoy that there is so many people with a different sort of background and opinions, but everyone has a clear vision on the Arctic and how sort of development should go. Everyone is super interactive, so there's very great communication going on. And I do like this sort of everyone gets to know each other better and creates a network for the future, and I really like that.
I think the group is very passionate, which is what I enjoyed the most. Everybody's priorities are different, and it's exceptionally useful to see the priorities that perhaps I haven't thought about before or haven't considered as thoughtfully, and to hear those voices and those concerns from people that have different interests in the Arctic than I do.
Hello everybody and good morning. My name is Haley Hannah Steppeton. I'm Unangach and I was born and raised in my village of Akutan. I'm an enrolled member in the Kirirun tribe of Unangach people. I live on Dena'ina lands in Anchorage, Alaska, and I work as an assistant professor of Arctic Security Studies with the Ted Stevens Center for Arctic Security Studies.
Will the world accept to face the consequences of our way of life?
I always say we are the land, and what happens to the land happens to us.
My time here in Norway, it's very evident how different the world I work in is from this Arctic. Our communities are very small, very far apart. We're facing very complex issues, food insecurity, housing insecurity, and a lot of the time in our region when we see innovation initiatives, it's from the south, and they try to include what we call the communities, but when those things are created by the south, they never can truly be for the communities. And I want listening to these stories and feeling so inspired by all that at this panel, at this conference, and in the Emerging Leaders program, I just think of like how can we create like mentorship clusters, exactly to what you're saying, like, and to, as soon as there is any like young person with an idea, how do we wrap around that, and how do we create these like mentorship clusters that are along latitude and not down like to the from north to south. Because I think another issue we see in our young people is they don't see themselves in the like how we define entrepreneurship or innovation. They don't see themselves in it because they don't see Northerners in it. And so how can we share that around and inspire that?
So I've had an absolutely fantastic time on the Emerging Leaders program. I feel like the diversity of knowledge, cultures, lands, ecosystems that we've all come from has really helped foster what I would describe as friendly debate over some issues, whereas we've discovered that we have consensus over many more as well. And if you feel the same way?
Yeah, I would totally reiterate the same point. What I really like as well is the breadth of industries that we come from. I didn't anticipate that it would be so wide-reaching, and I think that because we've had a lot of time together, both in a professional context and in a personal context, it's made it so that you get to see people at a human level and talk to them and get to know them, and then understand how their opinions have been formed, and then it allows you to kind of better enter that space and see eye to eye on things, and kind of broaden my understanding in a way that I don't think is always broadened when you enter in just a professional context and you don't really get the whole picture.
No, I would say that there definitely has been what I describe as friendly debate, as I said a second ago. But that's to be expected. Like, as I said, with the diversity of backgrounds, diversity of experiences, it's to be something that you'd expect coming over the horizon. I'd say the moment where it really became clear for the first time was during the creation of the videos that people have seen during the big picture sessions. Because one of the things that we said there was there's a lot of debate around what should be included, how it should be included, what sort of tone should be striked, what is the best way to convey the message. Because one thing that we did say is our viewpoints, this is how we approach this, differed quite a bit from the previous year of Emerging Leaders. And it just shows how things change. Different groups of people take different approaches. It's very much like a mixing pot of ideas, and at the end of it you get something which really does reflect that diversity in the room.
I agree. I think also going back to your question on how do we come together when there is such diversity in the room, there was a lot of strong listening. And so when there was conflict, people would take a step back. We also had, we would designate a moderator to make sure that everyone's voice was getting heard, so that there was space. I think also too, we had more success when we split into smaller groups, especially when we got to a point where, we all got a little bit rooted in an idea and it wasn't really moving. We broke the task down and said, the three of you work on this together, and then come back, see what you can come up with, and then we'll all kind of take a stance on that. And that small working group setup really helped move the agenda along when there's so many views in the room, and it's hard to make progress sometimes.
I was going to say, usually the way I describe these things is manage chaos, but in a good way, because I think you have to be a bit chaotic with the thinking, the discussions to really get the passion that we all have in the air and in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. But definitely, I appreciate the respect that everybody has shown everyone else. It's been really, really inclusive.
I think what I was saying a moment ago about how, for instance, if we compare this year's Emerging Leaders with last year's Emerging Leaders in terms of their approach to the videos, it shows how every year is different. So in terms of reasons to do it, it's just as I said, it's a fantastic opportunity to really join like this melting pot of ideas and values and principles. I've learned so much from my fellow Emerging Leaders this year in terms of like their lived experiences, their careers, like their values, where they've come from for it. Honestly, and I know this is probably going to be a bit cliche to say, I don't actually have any warnings that I would say. Maybe the only one that could come to mind is maybe don't have as many late nights as we've had. But I know if you've got any.
But honestly, I think that, and I had this discussion today with the head Canadian Arctic leader, that the best discussions happen in the spaces, in the halls, and in the late nights. It's like, you know, in the formulated simulations, it's very interesting and it's a thought-provoking activity, but when I've actually, you know, got to know someone and how their ideas came to be, it's in those spaces. So my advice to an emerging leader would be, you know, take advantage of all of the time that you have here and really engage in every part of it. It's exhausting, but it's so worth it, and that's really, like, my days are full, but they're also so full of new information and new relationships, and it's been just such an incredible opportunity for that. But yeah, and I'd say too, like, take the risk and apply. There's so many different kinds of leaders in different kinds of spaces, and I think sometimes people underestimate themselves and aren't sure if they are leaders, and I think that I'm really impressed with the wide range of different kinds of leaders that we've seen as well.
And the only thing I'd probably add is it's really grasp all those opportunities to, like, experience new things. If you're worried about, like, for instance, maybe giving a speech, or if you're worried about potentially not feeling confident speaking on a certain topic, but your fellow emerging leaders have a background in it, it really is a chance to learn, grow as both individuals and as leaders.